let us update the ADC tier list. So, quite a few things have changed since the last tier list. There's now been 3 patches of changes since I last made a tier list. So I thought we would go over some of the changes and also just, talk a little bit about what's changed. I'm going to place every champion in unplaced tier here. And we'll go a bit over, where every single champion falls after everything's changed. I think there's also a few champions that I just like kind of misjudged, to be honest. Like, for example, Six, I had him in A tier, and I think he's actually been Z tier, because watching him in competitive has been disturbing. How much damage he does, how much he takes towers, like, just everything he's doing is just absolutely insane. So first, I think normally I just do it in chronological order here, but I think I want to go through some of the ones that I feel like are just not that interesting to talk about. But maybe we'll have some changes for next patch. So for me, Kalista, still really bad. We can just put her back in D tier. Just got really nerfed for competitive and doesn't really have very good items. I think she will be quite a bit better next patch due to 2 things happening. One thing, they're reintroducing Lethal Tempo, which should be her best rune. And they're making it more of an on-hit rune, which is even better for Kalista. And they're also nerfing a lot of the crit items, which makes other items in Kalista's class weaker, which should make, in theory, Kalista better, right? And then Tristana, also think she's really bad. She just got nerfed because of her being strong in mid lane, which has made her really weak now in bot lane. In general, just don't see a reason why you would really play this champion right now. It's still probably better in mid lane, and it's just really weak in bot lane, I think. She's probably not going to be better next patch. I mean, maybe a little bit with Lethal Tempo, but considering the fact that they're making Lethal Tempo a bit more of an on-hit rune, I just don't think it's going to be too crazy for her. And then we have Corki, who's very similar to Tristana. He also got nerfed even further this patch, and he's gotten nerfed many, many times now. And Riot just doesn't seem too happy with him being strong and competitive in mid lane. So yeah, just don't think he's a good champion to pick up right now. And then let's get through the list here. Aphelios, one of my favorite champions of all time, has, in my opinion, some of the best design Riot's ever made. But the champion is really quite bad. He has the lowest win rate out of any champion that is actually a normal ADC. If we look at low lytics, if we look here and then we look at lowest win rate, you'll see actually Seri has fallen below him now after the recent nerf. But and Smolder actually, oh my god, Smolder win rate has gone down a lot. But anyways, if we look at last patch, which has more sample size, you can see here win rate wise, it's Tristana, Corki, who I kind of classify more as mid laners, and then we have Aphelios here in a really bad state. I really hope they buff him. I think he deserves it, but Freak said that he doesn't deserve to be buffed because he's a hard champion, so he should have a bad win rate. But I disagree. I think he's really weak. I've always been a big Aphelios player, but now I hate playing him. I feel like I'm sabotaging myself whenever I pick him. And yeah, just he feels garbage. He feels really garbage, to be honest. And then we have Sivir. Sivir, I think, probably B tier, to be honest. She's like okay. Maybe C tier. Maybe C tier. She's not that bad, though, to be honest. She's not that bad. I think B tier. She's better than Aphelios. She's for sure better than Aphelios. She's playable. She's playable. I think these champions I wouldn't recommend to play, but Sivir, if it's a fine Sivir game, go for it. You know what I mean? She has really good wave clear, good hyper carry kind of damage, but low range, but has a lot of mobility through her ulti, and also provides her team a lot of mobility. And also has the spell shield, which can be really useful against like Nautilus, Blitzcrank, these kind of like one hook, one engage type of champs. So real solid. Mira, she actually got buffed this patch. I played her today and it didn't go so well. But I think she's B tier as well. I don't think she's great. I don't think she's bad. I don't think the buff was that significant. She went from having 50.4. I mean, actually, we can check it here, how her win rate was impacted. No, this is 14.7. Oh, wait. It's because I have 14.8, 18. What? That's weird. Huh. Well, she should be better, but people are not winning on her. Maybe people are kind of first timing her, so that's what's dragging her win rate down. But anyways, I don't think the buff was that insane. So, and also Shieldbow got nerfed. That's true. That's true. Yeah, I think B tier. I think B tier. I definitely don't think A tier. I think closer to C tier than A tier. You know what I mean? Um, like she's like C plus, B minus type of range. Definitely think Sivir is better than her. Then we got Nyla. For me, Nyla I think is like top of B tier. Is kind of the impression I have of her. But she also got nerfed by the BT and Shieldbow nerfs. So maybe kind of similar spot as Samira, to be honest. I do think she has more like situational pockets where she's really OP. Like I think Nyla Senna should be really good with how Senna is. More of a support now. Oh, Shieldbow is actually melee. She's melee, I forgot. Yeah. Actually, maybe she's 8 here. But Shieldbow actually got buffed on her. Hmm. Hmm. Maybe she's good. Let's see the win rate. I think her win rate should be pretty high, actually. When I think about it. Win rate's 53. Okay. 8 tier. That's pretty high win rate. I mean, she's kind of an OTP champ. She's very situational. She kind of requires an enchanter support, in my opinion, to be ideal. I think Senna is the best pairing with her. But a lot of people are playing Senna. So I think there's a lot of pockets where you can play Nyla, to be honest. And I don't think the champion is that hard. I don't think the champion is that hard. It just has kind of different gameplay from other ADCs. And then we have Caitlyn. I think Caitlyn's pretty good. She got buffed again this patch. No, not this patch. Last patch, I believe. Yeah, she got buffed in 14.17 to get a little bit more attack speed and a little bit less cooldown on the traps. And overall, she feels pretty good, in my opinion. Feels pretty good. I really like how much, like, how low the trap CD is later on in the game. You can really feel it. Way more than I expected. Like, you can actually just place a lot of traps in team fights, and you can both set up traps, and then you'll still have traps back up to, like, keep fighting, you know? And then we got Saya. For me, Saya is A tier as well. I think Saya right now is pretty damn good. I've been playing her quite a bit. There are a lot of games where enemy team is going to be a lot of melee champions and going to be all diving onto you, in which case she feels really, really good. She is still quite situational, but there's a lot of situations where I feel like she's good. Like if enemy picks Kai'Sa, I like it. If enemy picks Seri, I like it. If enemy picks Jhin, it's not the best, but it can still be okay if they have like Viego or Silas, Akali, these type of mid laners are diving onto you. But if they do have Jhin plus Lux or Jhin plus really long control mage on mid lane, then it's going to be hard to play Xayah. So you do need to see a bit more champs than other champions do if you're going to pick Xayah. But also with the new skin, she just feels pretty buff. She feels pretty fucking good. Yeah, I like her a lot. And then we have Jinx. I'm tempted to put Jinx in S tier. I do think Riot's been kind of slowly buffing her back up, wanting her to be stronger. Why every single ADC has a buff hits % win rate? It does make sense, the stats. Oh, it does, because it's average Emerald plus win rate is 50.8, because it counts Emerald players playing above, like playing against people that are not Emerald, so they win more against than they lose. Jinx S or A? I think maybe S, to be honest. I think she's pretty OP. She's pretty good. You can also play her lethality now with this new Korean build, so you have a bit more versatility. And she's just gotten a few buffs that I think help her out a bit, and a lot of the champions that were good into her got nerfed. Like Ezreal, I think was really good into her, but Ezreal's gotten really nerfed now. So I don't think Ezreal is like too scary for her. Yeah, in general, just think she's strong. Lulu also got buffed, which helps her. Varus got nerfed, which is good into her. Yeah, I think she's good. I think she's good. I think S tier is deserved for her. She's really strong. Arthas, think A tier. Low A tier. Play. I think A tier as well. Just both these mages are like pretty strong, but not as strong as Six, I think. Six got nerfed, but I think I underrated Six a lot last patch. For me, the mage rankings looks a little bit like this, where I think just, I don't know, like every time I play against Six, I keep thinking to myself, this champion isn't that strong early game, but they've made Six so strong early game. It used to be that Six was really weak early game, but now that's not the case anymore. He does legit so much damage early game. He doesn't lose lane like he used to do. Like, he used to be useless in lane, but now he's not useless in lane anymore. In which case, I feel like he's OP. I think he's OP. And then Brand, he's gotten a few nerfs, mostly for jungle, but it's also impacted lane Brand, I think. So I think B tier. I don't think he's like that crazy in bot lane. Then Yasuo, I feel like Yasuo's pretty OP to be honest. But nobody plays him. I don't know why. I don't know what his win rate is on bot lane. Not that high. Maybe I just feel like he's really good into a lot of the champions that are being played in bot. And after he got his buff, I just feel like he's been kind of strong. I know Yone is definitely stronger than Yasuo, but you can't really play Yone bot lane, right? Not many people play in bot, so maybe I put him B tier. But I feel like he's A tier, to be honest. If I were to say, like, I feel like Yasuo is a strong champion in bot lane. I don't think he's a bad champion in bot lane. I don't know why people aren't playing him. That I cannot say. But I think he's strong. I think he's strong. Then we have Kog'Maw. I think B tier. Doesn't really have that much of a place in the meta. A lot of long range champions being played. Not that many tanks being played. Not really. His items aren't that crazy. He's gonna be a lot better next patch for sure, with lethal tempo coming back and also crit items being nerfed and tanks being buffed. Maybe Kog'Maw legit becomes one of the best champions next patch. Unironically, I could see that happening because the meta is gonna change a lot. It's gonna change into more tanks, into more on-hit ADCs, and I think Kog'Maw will really thrive in that environment. But for this patch, I don't think he's great. I think he's like just whatever. And then Senna. Senna as a support, I think really OP. Senna as a support, up here. But this is a marksman tier list. This is a botlane tier list. I think don't play Senna support. I don't think you should play Senna ADC. They just nerfed her really hard for ADC and made her a really good support. So if you want to play Senna, you're really loving the Senna gameplay, you should just queue support, I think. Maybe have a duo that can play some of the weird pairings that is good with Senna, like Nyla, Yasuo, or tanks plus Senna, you know, Ornn Senna, Shogev Senna, whatever the fuck you want to play. But playing Senna like alone as a farming ADC right now, oof, I don't know about that. And then we have Smolder. So I think they really killed my boy Smolder. He has 43% win rate on mid lane and 46.7% win rate on bot lane. That is insane. But they did nerf quite a few things. They nerfed his Q and they nerfed his W. And I think they nerfed one more thing, if I remember correctly. Let me just check fast here. Was it? Maybe it was just his Q and W. No, they nerfed his health as well, yeah. So, really big nerfs to Smolder. I think in solo queue, he wasn't insanely OP. He was good, but he wasn't insanely OP. But now, I think he's really bad. I think he's C or D tier. In bot lane. Just oof. He was really OP in competitive, and I think this champion in general is always better in competitive than he is in solo queue, because games in competitive are more like about farming, and Smolder's really good at farming, and it's less fighting, and solo queue is more about fighting, less about farming, so Smolder is automatically kind of weaker in solo queue. And they chopped his legs off, straight off. They chopped his legs off. I mean, win rate wise, it should be D tier. To be honest, I think it should be like, I think you should maybe be like this, to be honest. We'll leave all the champions that got nerfed in bot lane because of mid lane in D tier. I like that. I like that. These are the pro play offenders that got mega nerfs because they were good in pro play, and these are the mid lane offenders that got mega nerfed because they were good in pro play mid lane. Perfect. Then we got Ezreal. Ezreal for me is like B or low A tier. I think he isn't crazy good. His win rate's also not crazy. I think B tier, to be honest. Maybe A tier. No, I think B tier. I just don't think he's that good. I think He will probably be even weaker next patch. I'm not actually sure how the next patch will affect him. I feel like he's not that good against tanks. So I feel like he might suffer from that. And also I saw Manamune was getting considerably nerfed. We'll have to see what happens. It's a bit hard to predict. But right now, I don't feel like Ezreal is a crazy good champion to play. I feel like there's one champion that I'll talk about a little bit later that whenever I think about playing Ezreal, I would always rather play this champ. Um, we'll see. We'll see what that champion is when we get to it. Then we got Vayne. I think this is C tier for me as well, to be honest. I think Vayne will move considerably up next patch as well, as there will be more tanks and on-hit ADCs will be better. Maybe she will be A tier, something like that. But right now, I think she's pretty weak. Doesn't have many good lanes. Doesn't scale insane because there's not that many tanks, and overall crit itemization I think is better than on-hit itemization. And yeah, just pretty mid. Just pretty mid. Seraphine, B tier alongside Brand. She's a decent mage, good supportive mage, but I think these mages are quite a bit better. She has really good wave clear, but lacks a lot of the damage that these other mages do, but makes up a bit with shielding, but harder to really carry on. Then we got Seri. So Seri got nerfed in, like, she's gotten nerfed a lot, kinda, because Fleet has gotten nerfed a lot, and I've been trying Grasp on Seri, but it's not very convincing, to be honest. I don't think it's that good. Like, for example, Jhin, I feel like Jhin with Dark Harvest still feels really good, but Seri with Grasp, it doesn't quite hit the same. It doesn't quite feel the same. So I'm inclined to put her either low B tier or C tier. I feel like they took a lot of power out of her kit. She went from 50% win rate to now 48%. That's pretty rough. That's pretty rough. I think C tier, honestly. She just lacks the early game so hard. I mean, I'm inclined to low B tier. It's a hard one, this one. I think maybe C tier. I think maybe C tier. I don't think the Stridebreaker build is particularly good. I tried it, I didn't really like it. So expensive, Stridebreaker. It's 3,300 gold. That's a lot of money to spend on a first item. And overall, it feels like you kind of still need to go Fleet. You can try Grass, but I didn't feel like it was great. So you're going a rune that's been nerfed like, what, 3-4 times now? Yeah, feels pretty bad. Feels bad to be a Zeri main right now. We got Twitch. Twitch, I think B tier. Just solid. To be honest. Like, fine. I think Twitch is always kind of the same. He's always, like, decent. Always decent. He'll always kill people with the stealth. He'll snowball if you play well. You have good late game. He's never really the best champ. Never really the worst champ. Pretty good. Kaisa. A tier. Really solid. Really good champ. Will be interesting to see how next patch she pans out, because they're nerfing nearly all of the legendary items, and it will be interesting to see if that makes it harder for her to get her evolves. If it doesn't, I think she'll still be really good. If it makes it so that you have to, like, get 2 items instead of 1 for W evolve, for example, like if Nashor's Tooth is too nerfed, or if, like, you know, your first item has 2 little ADs, so you can't get Q evolve, it'll be definitely interesting to see. It might make her really weak, or it might make her really good if she still gets the evolves and she doesn't suffer as much as the other champions do, because she can go on hit, go a good on hit build. And then we have Draven. I think Draven's moved down a little bit due to the BT nerf. For me, he's kind of A tier now. Suffered a little bit from that. I think he also suffered a bit from the shield bow nerf. He's a champion that likes both BT and shield bow, and both of them got nerfed this patch. So yeah, A tier for Draven. Then we got Jhin. I think Jhin is C tier. I feel like Jhin is the best blind pick. He has really, really good stats in bot lane right now. Really good win rate. Most pick champ. Like, the fact that nearly everybody and their grandma is first timing him and still winning a considerable amount of games is pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. Just feels like he's so strong. I really like him with Dark Harvest. I think he's still fine with Fleet though, just because, like, he was been good for a while, and a lot of the other champions have gotten nerfed, while Jhin hasn't gotten nerfed. And he just works really well in the meta, because not many people are playing tanks. And you have a lot of people playing high damage champs in other roles. So you work really well as, like, a supportive sub DPS, like supportive carry, you know? And it just works really well. and really fun playing him with Dark Harvest and more lethality style build. It works really well as well. Or you can just go the classic fleet static shiv, and that's gonna work you well as well. Yes, he has a bit of versatility actually right now, and I think that just speaks to how strong the champion is, that you can kind of build different items and still find a lot of success. So yeah, for me, best ADC on the patch right now. And then we have Lucian. Lucian's decent, I think. Lucian's decent. He's good with a lot of enchanters. So they nerfed him on mid lane by nerfing his Q damage, but they buffed his passive damage. And his passive, right, it empowers his auto attacks when an enchanter buffs him or when someone CCs a target close to him. So in general, I think he's quite a bit better on bot lane now. I think the Essence River Rush build on him is decent because Esther is an okay item. And overall, you just have lanes that are okay. He's the best with Nami Milio for sure. And Thone and Yumi. Those are like the 4 best for sure. But even with other champs, he's still decent, and he has a lot of burst. You can get a lot of CDR, dash around, have fun. It's pretty good. We got a Meph. So Meph got pretty nerfed. She got both directly nerfed in this patch, and her favorite item, BT, got nerfed. So you can see her win rate dropped by 3%, which is pretty considerable, but she still has a decent enough win rate. But I think for me, it's top of B tier. I don't really see a reason to play MF that much right now. I think she's like still okay, but I feel like I'd rather play probably a lot of these champions in A and C tier, and S tier, to be honest. She still has a good lane into like MF, but playing, for example, like I like Syra Khan a lot into MF because you can actually survive the lane and then you just outscale her. And I feel like that's even easier now that she has a weaker early game than before. Then we got Varus. So Varus got nerfed this patch. I actually don't know fully where to place Varus. I didn't play a single game of Lethality Varus before it got nerfed because I was away for those 2 weeks. And I just never got around to it. But it was never, like, I assume it was pretty OP because the nerf they gave to him was pretty big. They removed 20% bonus AD on his Q and 10% bonus AD on his E. Probably because they were very ready for him to be played a lot at Worlds and they really didn't want to let that happen. In general, Lethality Varus has always been weaker in solo queue than it's been in competitive. So I'm inclined to rate Varus maybe more around B tier than A tier. But for Varus, I'm not 100% sure. But it also, for me, it speaks a bit volumes that I've barely seen Varus when I've been playing as well. Usually when Varus is strong, everybody in their grandma plays this champion in high-low. Because he's just really oppressive in lane, and you can snowball really easily. And people kind of like playing him, I guess. While now, I barely see Varus. I don't think he's anything crazy. Then we got Ashe. Ashe has gotten nerfed, but I still think she's really strong. She just has a really good early game. I want to do something like this, I think. She has a really good early game, really good snowballing, really good utility, provides a lot to the team. Could see her being either same strength or a bit stronger next patch due to the fact that maybe ADCs in general will be weaker, but she doesn't mind if ADC as a role is a bit weaker because she provides a lot more than other ADCs do in terms of slows, vision, and stuns in her ulti. So it'll be interesting to see for sure. But she's really annoying to lane against. For me, the most annoying lanes was to lane against Ashe and MF. They're just like so obnoxious. And I think MF got pretty considerably nerfed, while Ashe got a lot less nerfed than MF did. So I think still Ashe is top of the table, really strong, and really annoying to play against. But yeah, that is my tier list for 14.18. Yeah, I like where everybody's placed here. Like it's pretty fair. I think every champion above C tier is really like, you can play it and you can easily find success on it. Champions that are C tier, you can play it and find success on it if you're really good on them. And champions that are D tier and below, just wouldn't recommend playing them. And it's pretty rare, I feel like, that you have so many champions that are really bad. And it's a weird situation where I feel like we have had a meta now where a lot of these ADCs that are in C and D tier, like Series, Molder, Corki, and Tristana, have all pretty much exclusively been played in pro play and mid lane. And it's made them a lot weaker as a result because Riot didn't like the fact that they were being played every game in mid and really nerfed them. So I feel really bad if you're a main of any of these champions. I hope Riot finds a way to make them viable in bot lane again. But for now, oof, it's tough. It's tough. But yeah, I'll be making another tier list again next patch. because I think there will be a lot of changes, and I'm excited to see what happens. I'm a bit worried that ADC will become a lot weaker, because ADC is a role that gets the most gold and gets the most resources, so we buy the most items, which means that if items in general are weaker, then we will suffer more than other roles will. And also looks like tanks will maybe be a bit unkillable, but I hope Riot knows what they're doing. But paying 3,600 gold for Infinity Edge, oof, that's gonna be tough. That's gonna be tough. Every time I open that up in the shop, gonna get a headache, I think. But we'll have to tank it, I guess. We'll have to tank it. What happened with Senna? They made her more of a support. They didn't want her to be an ADC. Yeah. Yep. Lucian Yumi is good too. Kaisa S. She's close to S, yeah. Is Draven be good next patch with buffing tanks and nerfing collector IBT? I think Draven will be pretty bad next patch. Draven's always been bad in metas where where tanks are strong. And I think also in general, when, like, you guys remember when the first durability patch hit? When the first durability patch hit, Draven was so shit, and then they really buffed him. What did you say you'd rather play than Ezreal? Was it Jhin? Fuck, I forgot to say, didn't I? Yes, Jhin was the champ. I would always rather play than Ezreal right now. Whenever it's a good Ezreal game, it's a better Jhin game. I forgot to say it. I said I was going to say it, but then I forgot. What about that Mind guy who plays Senna Perma ADC with success? You really think she's that inviable? A Mind guy? Can you link his OPSG? Kai'Sa tier build better than on-hit now? I think on-hit is still better in most cases. Not some cheaper build ADCs like Kog when the crit items get killed. I think Kog'Maw should rise a lot. Should be a lot better. What do you ban at the moment? Pike? Usually Pike. Good picks into Jhin. I think Kai'Sa's decent. I think Ziggs is pretty good. I think Jinx is fine. You can kind of play anything into Jhin. I don't think there's anything that good into Jhin, and there's also nothing that bad into Jhin, you know what I mean? Like, Jhin can just lane against anything, and he doesn't really get countered by anything. Humble Senna. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, he's winning a lot on Senna. Yeah, I mean, this guy's cooking. He's going a very interesting build. Black Cleaver, Grasp. I could see this being decent. I was thinking more of like standard crit Senna being really trash. But if you play her more like a Grasp plus Black Cleaver procer, because that's mostly what his job is in these games, right? He's playing to proc Black Cleaver on as many people as possible with Black Cleaver and Runans, and also get as many passive stacks through the Runans interaction. And also the Runans gives him wave clear. I mean, this looks like a fun build. Maybe she's not that GG tier, but I think for the average player, I just wouldn't recommend picking her up. But maybe she's more like C tier. That looks like a bit of a cooker. I'm Seri Kai'Sa 2 trick and some point inside they're nerfing Seri this much. Yeah. I think lethal tempo coming back should help Seri, yeah. That's true, actually. You think people underestimate Kog'Maw in 40.17? He already had 53% win rate, and I also feel it's strong. Maybe. I haven't played him in a while.